Welcome back to Art by the Lake. Today we're going to make a mess. I've been promising that we would do a video on my recipe for paint, and so this is the current recipe we have for paint, and we've mixed up several cups here. We're going to do a pour as well, just because I don't want to waste the paint. I've got a smaller hardboard masonite piece over here that we're going to do a little mini dirty pour with the leftover paint from the larger canvas. This is an 11 by 14 canvas. I have mixed up white, I have mixed up gray, and I have mixed up black. And I will from here be mixing the final color, which is yellow. We're trying to keep this one simple. We like simple color combinations, but this will allow me to show you the recipe for my current paint mixture. So, got a little 3/4 ounce cup here, you can see. I'm going to mix it on top of the canvas. I wouldn't recommend that, but that seems to be the best for the camera. I'll hold it up as I go and see if I can get the camera to autofocus and show you the exact amount of paint. I'm not real fussy, but in general, mine is a 1-to-1 mixture of paint, Floetrol, and a mix of 50-50 Floetrol and water, as well as Liquitex pouring medium. And I'll show you the sequence that I do those in as we go. So, first up we have the paint itself. This is Handy Art acrylic paint. This is a Walmart product. It is about $5 for 16 ounces. Hopefully you can see that on the camera. We're going to pour, I don't even have a measurement in mind, but about that much, you can see. Maybe a few ounces. What's really important is the ratio, not so much the amount. You need to know the amount so that you can not come up short with paint or waste a lot of paint. But it's really the ratio. So there's 1 part of paint. Next we have a squeeze bottle, and this has Floetrol in it. Make sure you get latex Floetrol. You can buy it at Home Depot, Lowe's. You can buy it if you look at my links on my YouTube video. There are a lot of places to buy it. The prices vary, so shop around. But get the latex version, do not get the oil-based. So we have 1 part paint, and you'll see now I'm going to put in roughly 1 part Floetrol. So I have my little stir sticks here. I like to mix these two together first. That way you get sort of a more solid pigment before I water the mixture down, before I add anything else. So I just mix that to color. You'll see again, there's color. Next up, we are adding Liquitex Professional Pouring Medium. We like this because it retains the pigments a little bit better, and it seems to fight some of the crazing issues that people have encountered where the paint will crack. You will see I only put, for a pour this size, I only put a little bit. It's really not a lot. A few drops. And again, I like to mix this in with the paint before I dilute it any further. So we're mixing that up really, really well. You'll see that I've done this previously with the paints over here. This is just our yellow. So that is 1 part paint, 1 part Floetrol, and what I would call a few drops or a squirt of Liquitex pouring medium. Next I have mixed up a 50-50 mixture of Floetrol and water. I don't like to add just straight water, so I mix it up 50-50. I put it in one of these little shake bottles. I snap the lid tight. It seems to last a long time. So I'm putting 1 part of this. So 1 part paint, 1 part Floetrol, a few drops of Liquitex pouring medium, and now 1 part Floetrol and water. And you'll see that adds quite a bit of volume to the mix. And at this point you want to mix it really, really well. You almost can't mix it too long. Lumps are our enemy. so you do not want to have lumps in your paint. You do have the opportunity to pop them off the canvas if the canvas, if they show up on the canvas. While the paint is still wet, you can scrape them off. But you almost can't mix too much, so I like to mix it very, very thoroughly at this point. I also am going to add silicone to this color. I'm putting silicone in every color but the white, and you'll see I've made more quantity of white. And so there's my yellow. Get a good look at that. And here's kind of the consistency. It's maybe a little bit too thick at this point. And when you have something that's a little bit too thick, you can add, again, just another little splash of the 50-50 Floetrol and water mix. And again, mix that in very thoroughly. You're looking for the consistency of melted ice cream. So, as you can see, I'm pretty close to that. So there's our black. There's our gray. The gray has a touch of silver in it too. And there's our white. So you get a good idea of the colors. So what I like to do very late in the game, before I'm about to pour, is I add in the silicone. A cup this size, maybe 3-4 ounces, I will add maybe 7 drops, 8 drops of silicone. I use 3-in-1 brand. You can see that. And it's not easy to do drops, so you'll see it comes out a little bit faster than you want to. There's 8, pretty good 8 drops right there. Now, with silicone, the more you mix it in, the smaller the cells. The less you mix it in, the larger the cells. But the less you mix it in, the less paint in the cup that will have contact with silicone. So it's a little bit of catch-22. So I mixed it in pretty well in these cups. So again, small cells. In the yellow, I'm really not going to give it too much of a mix. That's really it. So I don't have a real plan in mind here. Really, this video is all about how to mix paint. But of course, when we mix paint, we want to make a mess. You'll notice down in the foreground, we have added some things. If you want to contact me, we have artbythelake@gmail.com, and you can find us on YouTube, Etsy, and eBay at Artbythelake. Of course, if you're watching us, you have already found us on YouTube, and please do subscribe. You'll see down here, it's probably hard to see from directly above, I have a level. If you don't have a level, you can get a little app on your phone that tells you if it's level. You want your surface and your canvas to be level. So one of the last things I always check is to make sure my canvas is level this way, and to make sure my canvas is level this way. Doesn't have to be perfect, but the closer the better. You will find if your canvas is not level, all of your paint will flow toward one edge of the painting, which can be good, or it can be bad. So you be the judge. But try to level your painting out, especially if you're going to walk away. We have a rig attached today that is time-lapsing the whole process. So we have a separate camera next to our video camera that will time-lapse this entire process, and we'll leave that running for a few hours after we are done pouring. So you'll get to see how the paint moves. We're going to be pretty aggressive here. I'm not going to do a dirty pour on this one. I will do a dirty pour on this smaller one. So you'll get to see a really mini dirty pour, which should be interesting. With this larger one, I have push pins in the back of it already so that you see it standing up off the work surface. And I have gone around with the plain white acrylic paint, and I have painted the edges and just a little bit of the surface. I like that because the paint flows a little bit better over the edges. So you'll see as we get going here, I'm going to start with the white. This is going to be a pretty messy and aggressive pour. So away we go, right? I'm going to start in the corners, because the corners are always hard to get. And if you're doing a tilt, and we'll be doing a tilt, if you're doing a tilt and you're trying to clean up the corners or trying to get the corners to help you out, many times you will dump most of your paint and many of your good designs off the edge in trying to get to those corners. So again, maybe you can tell, don't have a real plan today. So let's just see what happens. So we're going to start a couple different puddles here, a couple different puddle pours. I like the yellow. I'm hoping that the yellow will be prominent in this painting, but you never know. You can, with some paint brands, we've talked about this before, with some paint brands, you can actually look up the specific gravity or the weight of the paint. Golden Acrylic comes to mind. They're one of the more prominent ones doing that. And you'll see I'm alternating. I'm trying not to put black and white together. As you get more experience doing these, you will find that the more you put black and white together, the more you get sort of a gray mud. So I try to keep those two separate. And you'll see that really the only way I can keep them separate is by using white or yellow in this painting. So you see I got some pretty interesting cell stuff going on up here already. You can see the white reacting. I know one of these times I'm going to violate my own rule and I'm going to dump black on white or white on black, so I'm trying to be careful not to do that. So again, really random here. Trying not to be consistent in any two, trying to make it look different. We are going to do a tilt. I do have a straw set aside here in case we want to do any sort of blowing on this one. We'll see. Looks good so far. I'm going to try to get more white in here, so I'm going to do a couple combinations with white in a row. And you'll see we're going to pour a lot of white around the perimeter. White, yellow, right? I have a lot of the gray here, so we'll get some more of that on the canvas. Okay, I think I've got what I want here. I'm going to drape a little white here just to keep the edges flowing well. You'll see as you practice this that you'll get better at the sequence that you tilt. Everybody has a little bit different trick that they like to do. Don't be afraid to make a mess. Wearing my gloves. So here we go. We're going to try to tilt around and get some interesting things going on here. So I'll pick it up. If you can hear it in my microphone, we are getting a fair amount of dripping going on here. Okay, so pretty interesting here. I'm going to touch up some of my corners as soon as I find a way to bail out on my gloves nicely. You'll find at a certain point the gloves don't help any longer and you're better to just bail, especially when you're at a point where you're just sort of doing touch up and clean up. I want to touch up a corner here. I want to add a little bit, some of these gray areas I'm not happy with, so I'm going to add a little white in there and a little more yellow. This is the beauty of saving a little bit of extra paint at the end. You can touch up quite a bit. I'm also surprised at how little black came up in this one, so Maybe we'll just add a little bit more black and see if we can help that along. I have two other little interesting techniques here that I'll show you. Again, the purpose of this video was really to give you an idea of how I mix my paint and not so much technique, but we'll, you know, I'm not going to waste the paint, so we'll show you some techniques as well. Again, just amping it up a little bit here. So you see the cells starting to form, so that's happening, loving that. So we're going to take our blowtorch. We use the Burns-O-Matic. You can find that on my Amazon link and my YouTube channel. And keep it moving when you're using the torch. If you let it sit in any one spot for too long, you will smell burning paint. If you smell burning paint, you have a problem. So that's brightening up some of the yellow. I'm not sure you can see that, but it's starting to pop. So that's one technique. The other technique that I like to do, and it makes things interesting, I have a little stainless steel straw here, and you'll see that we can do some interesting things. So watch this one. Many times you can use this straw to search. If you're looking for a color that you know you poured in there and buried in there and it isn't showing up, many times blowing with the straw will help you find it, if that makes any sense. We also have another trick here you can use, and I know people do this all the time. You can take one of your little stir sticks and you can move paint around. So if I want this to have a little bit more expression, I can drag some of that yellow around. Same thing up here. I can dig out some of the black down below. Again, it's up to you. Try it for yourself. It's not terribly daunting, and if you don't like it, you can cover it back over. Again, I mentioned I wanted more yellow in this, and then I'm going to see if I can find some spots to make a little bit more punch of yellow. And then I'm going to try the torch one more time, and then we'll do our dirty pour. I don't want to lag too long on this one painting, but okay. So there it is. I'm going to call that done for now. I'll hit it one more time with the blowtorch and see if we can wake up any more cells, especially in the freshly poured areas we just did. And see if you can see some cells coming up. It seems to be bringing up some yellow and black in here. That's always a good thing. There you go, look at that. There's some yellow popping through. See if we can get anything to wake up in here. Again, keep your torch moving. Don't ever stop, or you will have a lump of melted paint in the middle of your painting that won't make anyone happy. So welcome to Art by the Lake. You're joining us midstream here. We did a time lapse of a painting we're working on here. The real purpose is to show you our paint mixture. We did a really small painting over here that we didn't really get quite the result we wanted. So I'm going to mix up a little more paint so we can use this video as a paint mixing lesson. We have mixed white, silver, and black, and yellow. We did a dirty pour over here. We did a rough pour here with some torch and some straw. But let me show you my recipe. We're going to mix up just a little bit more yellow so that we can fix this painting a little bit. So I put 1 part of yellow. So since I don't need a whole lot, I'm only putting a few drops in the bottom of that one. I put 1 part Floetrol. So again, just a few drops. I put a few drops of Liquitex pouring medium, Liquitex Professional pouring medium. And then I mix those up well. I mix those before I add anything else. Once those are mixed, I add in a 50-50 mixture of Floetrol and water. So it's 50% Floetrol, 50% water. I like that better than just using straight up water to thin the paint out. And I'm mixing that really, really well. And we're using this really as a lesson on how to mix my paint mixture, my current paint mixture. As you can see, we've already done the painting. You'll be able to see this in the time lapse from start to finish. So you'll be able to see how this painting evolved. And this was a dirty pour and really not very fond of it. So we're going to alter it a little bit. Silicone I'm adding in, 3-in-1 brand, just a few drops. And the more you mix the silicone in, the smaller the cells. The less you mix the silicone in, the larger the cells. So I'm not going to mix it very much. And we're going to pour and try to brighten this one up. We wanted this one to be predominantly yellow, and the gray really just dominated. So we're going to brighten that up with some yellow. And we're going to do a little bit of straw and a little bit of blowtorch. So I have stainless steel straw. You can see that'll help me move the paint around. I can see already this painting is leaning toward this end. So I can see the paint is going to flow in that direction. I will take advantage of that and put some of the colors that I want to move up the canvas down here, namely black. And we'll see if we can get them to migrate a little bit. And we're really just kind of messing around here to show you my paint mixture, but why waste some good paint, right? We'll see if we can make this into something interesting. And I really don't want a lot of the gray because it looks like the gray has been dominant in this painting, so I'm really not going to put much of that. And since I made so much yellow, and one last little blast of black, I think, just to keep this interesting. And then we'll call it quits and we'll end the video and we'll let the time lapse run so you can see how things work out. Okay, I think we'll call it there. You'll see this thing evolve. You may see me on the time lapse adding some things and tweaking some things. You'll definitely see more of the blowtorch, trying to wake some of the colors in the cells up. So, thank you for watching with us today. This is again my paint recipe mix, my current paint recipe mix. I'll repeat it for you. It is 1 part paint, 1 part Floetrol, 1 part 50/50 Floetrol and water, a few drops of Liquitex Professional Pouring Medium, and then if you want, a few drops of silicone. And that's pretty much it for today. If you're interested in buying any of these, you can always contact us at artbythelake@gmail.com. If you have any questions, you can contact us as well, certainly. Find us on YouTube, Etsy, and eBay at Artbythelake. And subscribe, tell your friends, wake your neighbors, and thank you for watching today. This has been our recipe, a dirty pour and a dirty flip cup pour.